Hello everyone, welcome to our third lesson in discourse analysis. Today's lesson is going to be about types of discourse. So we have different types of discourse. The first one we're going to start with is spoken discourse. A spoken discourse is any discourse that is verbalized. It is also referred to as speech, right? This speech or discourse. Anything that you say, anything you verbally utter. Every social activity we are involved in where speech is used is referred to as spoken discourse. So, for example, casual conversations, that's discourse, of course. Sermon in the mosque, in the church, that's religious. Political campaign, that's also spoken discourse. Symposium, that's spoken discourse. Public lecture, classroom discourse, doctor-patient discourse, telephone exchange. So anything that is verbalized, anything that is verbalized is referred to as spoken discourse. Spoken discourse takes place in different forms. We have face-to-face discourse. That's like political campaign, for example. That's casual conversation, sermon, symbolism, lecture, classroom discourse, etc. And then we have distance communication, which used online using social media or Zoom or those platforms that are used for distance communications. So we can have face-to-face discourse or distance communication. Both of them are spoken discourse. Another discourse that we have is called monologue. So monologue refers to a speech situation in which an individual is doing the talking for a long time, either to himself or herself or to other people who are not responding. It is an extended, uninterrupted speech by one person only. So monologue is also used in drama to help the audience or readers to know the thoughts of a character, which is referred to as dramatic monologue or soliloquy. So it refers to a lengthy talk in which a character alone on stage an actor alone on stage expresses his or her thoughts aloud. A soliloquy is delivered by a character in a play directly to the audience. So monologue basically is in plays, used in plays, sometimes like in comedy, when someone doing comedy. So they deliver their speech to the audience, but it's one direction. So there is no interaction between the audience and the speaker. So just the speaker who is doing the comedy alone, and there is no interruption or anything, just one person. Okay. Then we have dialogue. Dialogue refers to a conversation between two persons, two people. Okay, a dialogue is a discourse that involves two or more interlocutors. In dialogue, there is an exchange of ideas by the participants. In dialogue, there is mutual uh, exchange of information. So both uh, interlocutors interact and interrupt, of course, and exchange information. It's not like monologue when one person directs his speech to the other or the audience. Dialogue is not just a situation in which two or more people are interacting. It is a skillful exchange or interaction between people with shared understanding based on their cultural practice and shared worldview. So, of course, when you have a discussion with someone, we don't have this discussion if we don't really understand the other person, like the language or shared uh, culture. So you have a discussion or conversation with someone, if you have some mutual understanding of what you are going to talk about. So for two or more people to be involved in a dialogue successfully, they must be able to share some sort of understanding about the topic of the conversation. We cannot expect to have a dialogue between a physician, for example, and a singer. Okay, one talking about science, the other talking about the music. So they should have some understanding of about the topic of the conversation. And then we have multi-log. Multi-log refers to a situation in which too many people are engaged in a conversation at the same time. They may refer to the situation in which many conversations are happening at the same time within a chat room on the internet, for example. Okay, so the term is also more commonly used to describe a situation in which many participants communicate using computer-mediated forms such as online videos, message boards, forum, etc. Forum. So here, multi-log is just like dialogue, but the discussion is between more than two people. It's like 5, 4, 10, etc., or as many as possible. Sometimes this can be online, like in Google Meet, for example, or Zoom or Facebook, or it could be in a room, just in a room, face to face discussion between people. Then we have a conversation. Conversation refers to the use of speech for exchange of ideas by two or more people. A conversation may be formal or informal. This is determined by the relationship between the people involved. People involved in a conversation are referred to as interlocutors. So interlocutors exchange speech, exchange ideas, and in the speech or the conversation can be formal or informal. A conversation is built on certain conventions. For example, the people involved share the same common grounds. They have the same culture, belief, etc. The conversation is guided by such cultural patterns, norms, and beliefs. So if you have a conversation about religion, you expect both parties, like both all the speakers, to uh, have some knowledge about the religion that they're talking about. The people involved know that ideas are being shared, so no one dominates. So when you have a conversation with someone, no one dominates the conversation. It's between both parties, both interlocutors have the same control over the speech, the same freedom to say anything they want. Okay, the same. I mean, they are free to interact, and no one dominates the conversation. The interlocutors respect one another's view despite their differences. So even if the uh, interlocutors have different views, which is normal, different opinions, interlocutors are expected to respect others' views in order to have a conversation. Otherwise, there is no conversation. There is no communicating ideas here. And then we have written discourse. Written discourse is any discourse in which the thoughts of the producers are represented graphically on a surface, such as paper. Initially, in the study of discourse analysis, written discourse was not considered. This is something they have mentioned in the first, I think, in the first uh, video. The attention there was on spoken discourse. So at the beginning, there was the attention on spoken discourse, but later on, discourse also included written discourse. And written discourse refers to uh, discourse that is represented graphically, for example, on a paper. Written discourse is organized in such a way that similar ideas are put together in sections of the writing called paragraphs. Each paragraph is linked to another or linked to the one before and after it. So this written discourse is not like speech. Written discourse is organized in a very specific way. We have different paragraphs dealing with different topics, and they are, uh, put together in a certain way. Written discourse contains certain marks of punctuation which indicate where the reader should pause for a period, like full stop and comma. Here you should pause. Full stop and comma, yes. And then these raise the tone of their voice to either show that they are asking a question or that they are surprised, like question mark or exclamation mark. So in written discourse, you have to show the reader what anything that is. It's not like in because the reader is not doesn't see you. It's not. It doesn't has no idea about what how your facial expressions, for example, interact. Uh, because these help the um, the message to be to help help in the interpretation of the message. So in the written discourse, you have to show this in writing. You put full stop, it means something. You put comma, it means something. You raise the tone to form, for example, a question. To show that also you write the question mark to show that you are raising the tone, you are asking a question. You put the exclamation mark means you are surprised. So these are the factors that help in the interpretation of written discourse. Thank you very much. This is it for today. I hope you enjoyed the video and catch you guys in the next one.